Can I welcome everybody to this meeting of Thurrock Council's Cabinet. My name is John Kent, I chair the Cabinet. Can I start by reminding everyone present that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded for publication on the Council's website. Item 1 is apologies for absence. Rhiannon, we have Councillor Maurice Cook. Anybody else?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, I move that the minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the 19th of March 2025 be approved as a correct record. Are there any comments on the accuracy of the minutes? No. So therefore, are the minutes approved?
Approved.
Approved, thank you. Moving on to item 3, I haven't agreed to any items of urgent business. Item 4, does anyone here have any declaration of interest they wish to make? No. Okay, we move on to item 5. I have no statements this evening. Item 6, we have no briefings on policy, budget or other issues. Item 7, no petitions have been submitted by members of the public. And item 8, I'm not aware of any questions that have been submitted by non-executive members. Item 9, matters referred to Cabinet for consideration by an overview and scrutiny committee. We have briefing notes on the Housing Works procurement delivery model and the homelessness prevention and rough sleeping strategy that I would ask members to consider along with the reports at items 13 and 16. Item 10, delegated decisions taken since the last meeting. A list of those decisions is provided in the agenda and has been published online. Does anybody wish to make any comments on those decisions? No. So we move on to item 11, the first substantive item of the evening. It's the PAS review update, planning service improvements, and I'll invite Councillor Watson to introduce her report.
Thank you, Leader. I'm pleased to bring the report to Cabinet, which shares the formal feedback from the Planning Advisory Services following their return visit earlier this year. The PAS peer review team revisited Thurrock in January to assess our progress in responding to the 11 recommendations they set out at the end of 2023. Their feedback is clear. They saw real, tangible progress. They were impressed with how seriously we've taken the challenge and how quickly I've put in place practical improvements, investing in our staff, strengthening our culture and introducing robust programme management to drive the change forward. This administration is determined to make the difficult decisions required to rebuild trust in our services and deliver lasting improvement, and this is another step in the right direction. We know there's still work to do. The peer team rightly flagged areas for continued focus, including adopted more customer-focused approach to pre-applications, streamlining internal processes and developing a clear consultation protocol. These are common sense changes and we are committed to embedding them. They also noted the importance of having a clear vision for Thurrock's future, particularly in the light of the devolution and the local government reorganisation on the horizon. With the right strategy, we have opportunities to move our planning service from good to excellent and support sustainable growth across our borough. The Cabinet is asked to note the past feedback and agree that future updates on planning services improvement be brought to us every 6 months. This will ensure we maintain transparency and keep the pace of progress. I am confident we're on the right track, Leader. Happy for any questions.
Lee, thank you. I'll open for questions or comments. Who wants to start? No? Okay, I think this is one of those legacy issues. We know just how the planning service was perceived and how the planning service was performing a couple of years ago, and I think it's a testament to the work that Councillor Watson's done as portfolio holder, that Ashley Baldwin's done under Claire Demmell's leadership to really get a grip of the service, turn the service round. And we know and we recognise that not everything's perfect. And we recognise that there are still legacy issues that crop up from time to time and cause us real problems. But the improvement that's been made is, in the words of the PAS inspection team, it's like night and day. So I want to thank Councillor Watson and all those officers who have been responsible for this turnaround. It's not been easy. It's been a result of a lot of hard work. Councillor Watson, would you like to move the recommendations?
Thank you, Leader. Recommendation 2.1. Note and publish the Planning Advisory Service Peer Team Revisit Report, Appendix A. that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed. 2.2, agreed to receive 6 monthly updates on planning service improvements.
And again, are we all agreed?
Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to item 12, which is the corporate risk register, and I will invite Councillor Muldowney to introduce her report.
Thank you, Chair. This report presents the updated corporate risk register for 2025-26 and seeks Cabinet approval. Developed in alignment with the Council's refreshed risk management strategy, the CRR provides a clear and structured overview of the key strategic risks facing Thurrock Council, along with their associated mitigation plans. It supports the Council's commitment to sound governance, statutory compliance and informed decision-making. Cabinet is asked to endorse the CRR as a vital tool in ensuring ongoing resilience, accountability and transparency in managing corporate risk. I would ask all portfolio holders to talk through their corporate risks with their senior officers to ensure that the mitigation plans in place are robust. Happy to take any questions.
Councillor Muldowney, thank you. I will open for questions or comments. Councillor Worrell.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Muldowney. And I think that this is another area where we've made great strides since going in intervention, and just to have like the risk embedded in every single report and the risk training makes everybody much more aware about all of the risks across the council. So again, another good piece of work. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? No. Okay, Councillor Muldowney, would you like to move the recommendation?
Recommendations. For the reasons set out in this report, the Cabinet is recommended to approve the newly revised corporate risk register.
Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. And we move on to item 13, which is the homelessness prevention and rough sleeping strategy refresh. Just remind everybody that there is a briefing note from the Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee associated with this item. Councillor Hooper, would you like to introduce?
Thank you, Leader. The Council are required by law to have a homeless prevention rough sleeping strategy under the Homeless Act 2002. The current strategy was written in 2020 and will come to an end in September this year. But the world is a much different place from where it was 5 years ago. The draft strategy went to Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee in March. Overall, the positive feedback from the committee, they asked a number of questions about the kind of average age people would tend to be made homeless, which seems to be around 30. But overall, I received some positive feedback on the strategy. The development of the strategy involved adult services, children's services, and people who've actually gone through the homeless experience with the council. Homelessness is one of the biggest challenges we face as a council, but it's also a national problem. Thurrock currently has over 600 people in temporary accommodation and around about 8 rough sleepers in the borough. We also have about 5,000 people on our housing waiting lists. I'm expecting these numbers to rise in the next 12 months, partly due to rent rises, but also the introduction of the no-fault evictions legislation, which will come into force next year, or later this year, I should say. But this will be good in the medium to long term. One of the main objectives of the strategy is to prevent homelessness. There are 3 main reasons why people are made homeless in Thurrock. Siblings being asked to leave the family home. So as part of the strategy, we'll be working with schools and educating young people about the risks of homelessness and how to prevent this. The second is private landlords and no-fault evictions. And the third is that rents are getting higher and higher and people are struggling to pay, particularly in the private sector. At the end of the day, there's not enough homes, certainly not enough affordable homes. We are currently looking at modular homes, and I hope we will have more news on that in coming months. We are working with the government to look at developing council housing, and we're also working with developers and housing associations to look at how we can build homes that people can buy, affordable homes that people can buy and rent. If we don't have this strategy, the risks to Thurrock are quite concerning, as that it will likely end up having a higher number of homeless people in the future. But I think this strategy will help reduce that. So I'm happy to take any questions, but before I do take any questions, I'd just like to thank Ryan Farmer for the work he's done on this report and on the strategy. I know he's worked hard on speaking to a number of different people and trying to get their views, which has influenced how the strategy has been developed. So thank you.
Councillor Hooper, thank you. I'll open for questions and comments. Councillor Hartstein.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to comment actually just on the briefing note from Place Overview and Scrutiny on page 27, when 1.13, they talked about members asked that the impact on care leavers would be included in a community impact assessment. Officers confirmed this would be included in future versions of the report. Just to say that I appreciate it's not sort of part of my portfolio, that bit, but I have picked that up with the DCS in terms of making sure, the Director of Children's Services, just making sure that the care experienced is woven into those impact assessments from now on. So just wanted to reassure Cabinet of that.
Thank you. Councillor Worrell.
Thank you. Councillor Hooper, first of all, I want to say thank you to you because I know that you've worked, tirelessly on getting this strategy to the place it is, along with Ryan and his teams. And but for me, it's about the way it tackles not just the actual idea around homelessness. It's around that it covers everything else within the strategy and puts in place the prevention, the partnership working, getting all of the agencies working together, because it's all of this stuff that puts the wider strain on the council. And, and Thurrock tends to tackle these problems very, very straightforward, and a way to deal with that, as I went to the meeting last week about the modular homes, and that is going to be a game changer for us here in Thurrock. The level of quality of the homes that we could be having here in Thurrock just to deal with our homelessness is going to be second to none. So I, for one, just want to say well done for the amount of work that's been done to get it to this. And I think it really, really will make a difference. And by getting all of the agencies and all of the departments across the council, I think that it could, one, deal with the homelessness problems to some degree, but it's the amount of money that it will save in our budget, and it's the added on to, it's not just providing the homes, it's also what it does to support the budget. So a really, really good strategy to everybody that was involved. So thank you so much.
Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Hooper. This is such a key piece of work, especially it fits into the housing strategy. So it gives me more of an idea of what I actually need to do in my portfolio and how we can take this forward. And make no mistake, homelessness is on the rise. Temporary accommodation will continue to be on the rise, and we've got to try and get in front of the curve in order to do this. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the actual strategy when it comes forward. And also I think we need to treat this as a live document and be refreshed on a regular basis, not just every 5 years, because it is a game changer on temporary accommodation on its own.
Nobody else? Okay. I think, Councillor Hooper, you set out some of the figures which are kind of really stark. 600 families in temporary accommodation, 5,000 people on a waiting list, a minimum of 8 people sleeping rough across Thurrock. And we know that we've got a pressure in the medium term in the budget of £12 million as a result of increases in homelessness. Can I just ask, what having developed the strategy, what do you think the blockers are on actually making real progress in reducing homelessness in Thurrock?
Well, in my view, it's affordable housing. We have lost 18,000 council houses since 1981. That's had a dramatic effect on our homelessness figures. And the focus in recent years has been on paying a lot of money out on high rents to private landlords. And those rents are significantly higher than council rents. It doesn't mean to say all private landlords are bad, but I do think part of the strategy, along working with Councillor Watson, is to work with developers, private developers, in actually developing affordable homes to buy and rent. There's also just a shortage of homes, and I think we've got no choice other than to build homes.
Thank you. I've seen nobody else indicate, so Councillor Hooper, if you'd like to move the one recommendation.
Right, well, I hope I've got the right recommendation because it may be different from your papers. But to approve and adapt the homeless provision of rough sleeping strategy 2025 to 2030 as attached in Appendix 1.
Okay, that is different to the recommendation printed in the agenda. Rhiannon? Okay, would you like to read it again so that we're all sure of what we're agreeing to?
Approved and adapt the homelessness provision of rough sleeping strategy 2025 to 2030 as attached at Appendix 1.
Agreed.
Okay, so what we were being asked to do was to review and comment. We're now adopting. Okay, is everybody agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. We move on to item 14, Houses of Multiple Occupation Additional Licensing Scheme, and I will again invite Councillor Hooper to introduce the item.
Again, I'd like to thank Mike Dunede for his report. Right. There's already been a licensing scheme there is already a large license. There is already a licensing scheme for large HMOs for people and more in accommodation. The purpose of this is to extend the licensing scheme to smaller HMOs. Between 2019 and 2024, there was an HMO licensing scheme for smaller HMOs. There are about 220 HMOs were licensed for approximate income of £432,912 in licensing fees were collected to support the administration enforcement of the scheme. The scheme contributed to improving housing standards, greater tenancy safety, better property management and a reduction in antisocial behaviour. So why was the scheme not rolled over? So I'm told by officers that due to the boundary reviews that were taking place, it was placed on hold. A consultation took place last year. But only about 20% of the people being asked to take part in the consultation actually responded. However, 75% of those who took part in the consultation gave positive feedback to a licensing scheme. The original scheme only covered 11 wards. The proposal is now to cover all 20 wards of the council. The council is not making a profit from the scheme, but the scheme will cover itself in costs. Renewing the additional licensing scheme on a borough-wide basis will ensure that HMOs are managed to a consistent and safe standard, so preventing a two-tier system. Buildings on the improvements building on the improvements made under the previous scheme, addressing such issues as poor property management will actually help improve HMO's quality. The HMO's quality. I've lost my thoughts. Right, Can I read that again? Address the issues identified during the previous scheme, such as poor property management, and improve the quality of housing overall for small HMOs. This will also align the Council's responsibility under the Housing Act 2004 and its commitment to safeguarding vulnerable adults. I'm happy now to take comments and questions.
Well, thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Watson.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hooper. I'm really pleased with this. In every single ward we have got HMOs, and a lot of those HMOs becoming toward work because of the level of dilapidation that's happening within the homes, and also the ASB issues that are happening with the people that goes in there. So I really welcome the fact that this has now come forward, and through this then we can actually start enforcing all HMOs across the borough and make sure that our residents are in a place that they need to be, where they feel comfortable that they have got the council watching over them. So I'm really welcome this, and I agree totally with it.
See nobody else. Councillor, we're extending the scheme from 11 wards to 20 wards. Are you confident that we have the capacity to deliver that?
I am confident. The team has kind of reshaped itself so it can deliver these services.
Okay. See nobody else indicate. If you'd like to move the recommendations, please.
Recommendation 1.1. For reasons set out in the report, that Cabinet is recommended to 1.2. Agree a borough-wide designation of additional licensing for housing and multiple occupancy as set out in Appendix 2.
Agreed.
Are we agreed?
Agreed.
1.3. If 1.2 is agreed, delegate authority to the Executive Director of Corporate Services, following consultation with the Portfolio for Health and Wellbeing, to take all steps necessary to publicise, commence and administer the scheme, including issuing amended licences.
We agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. We will move on to item 15, hostels management options appraisal, and I will again invite Councillor Hooper to introduce his report.
I think we should call this Councillor Hooper's show tonight. Okay. Homeless hostels services are currently provided by 3 hostels in Charles Street, Clarence Street, and they are provided by a housing association currently. Brook Street is an in-house service. Whilst Brook Street continues to be a directly managed service, this report focuses on the provision of services to a third party. But I would like to say that Clarence Street will not be taken up as a future service due to the fact that the building doesn't meet our needs. So, in short, we are going through a tender process for Charles Street. There are 29 units in the hostel accommodation in Charles Street, including 24 for the use of temporary accommodation and low-level support for homeless households, and 5 units are used for under S17 of the Children's Act children's services. I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. I'll start with Councillor Worrell.
Thanks, Chair. So you said just now that we're going to stop using Clarence Street and we won't renew that. Are you confident that once we don't have that as a provision, that we can still provide the level of service that we need for those that do need to use these hostels?
I understand that is the case, but I do think that that particular service does not meet people's needs, and it's not a good place for people to go and stay. So I think it's in our interest to kind of end our agreement. There's a break in the contract where we can end that agreement now, but I do feel that there should be more of a focus on actually developing alternatives than just these hostel services.
Thanks for that. It's just that I just want to be mindful that if it's full up now, you know, then people are not going to disappear. We just need to be mindful that we need to make sure that there's an alternative provision provided.
My understanding is there aren't many people there.
Councillor Hartstein.
Thank you. I just wanted to pick up, but maybe just to explain to Cabinet as well about the 5 places from Children's Services that you talked about there. Just I thought it might be worth just expanding on that a little bit in terms of the different sections of the Children's Act. It was just to say, just to reassure Cabinet that those 5 places there are for 16 and 17-year-olds who have undergone a full assessment, and the social care have deemed them as having full capacity to be able to make an informed decision, and they have opted out of choosing to go, or they've opted out of going into care. So they will then be placed into Charles Street, for example. It's just to say that they will continue to have a social worker, they will continue to have oversight from the local authority and from social care. It's just that they won't actually be looked after by the local authority. So there is still social care and local authority oversight. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. I've seen nobody else indicate, so Councillor Hooper, if you'd like to move the recommendations.
Right. Recommendations for reasons set out in the report. Cabinet is recommended to 1.2. Approve and agree the continued provision of hostel-based services through an open tender or re-procurement process.
Is that agreed?
Agreed.
If it's approved, to approve delegated authority to award the contract for the delivery of 1.3 to the Executive Director of Place in consultation with the leader, portfolio holder, commissioner and Section 151 officer.
Again, is that agreed? Thank you. Move on to item 16, which is Housing Works Procurement Delivery Model. And I would again remind members that we have the comments of the Place Overview and Scrutiny meeting to consider alongside this item. Councillor Hooper, would you like to introduce?
Thank you, Leader. First of all, we'd like to thank Shahid Mohammed for this report. He's been very, very patient and has put a lot of work into this report. So, thank you. The Council embarked on a procurement exercise to streamline to an established single strategic provider, so basically one provider to do the lot. And that was basically in January 24. This procurement process stopped in June 24 due to concerns around the terms of the contract and the value of the contract. Concerns around one provider and the limited response we actually had. I think we only actually had 2 people put in tenders. I am pleased to see that the new tender document is more focused on using contractors that are local to Thurrock, so keeping the Thurrock pound in Thurrock, at the same time trying to achieve value for money. I'm keen to see that the repairs team work across the 4 integrated teams in Thurrock, and I'm pleased to see more of a focus on training and development of our young people with apprentices, as well as I'm asking what will the contractors do in added value to support our local communities. So the proposal is one main contractor to oversee reactive repairs and general build works. 1 specialist contractor to deliver electrical and mechanical service works. 2 specialist contractors to deliver works and services for lift maintenance and renewals, and a contractor for communal door entry systems, and 8 specialist contractors for the delivery of compliance-related services. The tender, as you said, Leader, has gone to place ONS in March. I think their main concern was really wanting to be involved in that process, but I think we had agreed that we were looking to keep them informed of how the process was taking place in terms of the procurement. I'm actually happy now to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No, you've got off light. If you'd like to take a deep breath and move the recommendations.
I hope you got your popcorn out. This may take some time. Excuse me. Right. Recommendations for reasons set out in this report. Cabinet is recommended to 1.2. Abandon the previous procurement exercise started in January 24.
Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Approve the commencement of a procurement for 2.21, a single main contractor for all repairs, planning, maintenance, voids works and major building works via an open market tender or invitation to tender via a specialist framework.
Are we agreed?
Agreed.
2.2, if 2.21 is agreed, there is a delegated authority for the award of contract to a single main contractor for a period of 5 years, with an option to extend for a further 5 years, to the Executive Director of Place, in consultation with the Leader, Portfolio Holder, Commissioner, Section 151 Officer. The option to exercise the extension of the contract for a further 5 years will also be brought back to Cabinet for approval.
Are we agreed?
Agreed.
2.23, 8 specialist contractors to deliver the compliance-related services for up to 3 years for each contractor, with an option to extend for a further 2 years.
Are we agreed?
2.24, if 2.23 is agreed, delegated authority is awarded of contract for the delivery of the compliance-related services for a period of up to 3 years per contractor, with an option to extend for a further 2 years to the Executive Director of Place, in consultation with the Leader, Portfolio Holder, Commissioner and Section 151 Officer.
Are we agreed?
2.25, a single specialist contractor to deliver mechanical and electrical services works for a period of 5 years, with the option to extend for a further 5 years, subject to performance and the Council's financial position.
Are we agreed?
2.26. If 2.25 is agreed, delegated authority for the award of contract for the delivery of mechanical and electrical works and services for a period of 5 years, with an option to extend for a further 5 years, to the Executive Director of Place, in consultation with the Leader, Portfolio Holder, Commissioner, Section 151 Officer. The option to exercise the extension of the contract for a further 5 years will be brought back to Cabinet for approval.
Are we agreed?
2.27, a single specialist contractor to deliver lift maintenance, breakdowns and renewals for a period of 3 years, with an option to extend for a further 2 years, subject to performance and the Council's financial position. The option to exercise the extension of the contract for a further 2 years will be brought back to Cabinet for approval.
Are we agreed?
2.28. If 2.27 is agreed, delegated authority for the award of contract for the delivery of lift maintenance breakdowns and renewals for a period of 3 years with an option to extend for a further 2 years, subject to the Executive Director of Place, in consultation with the leader, portfolio holder, commissioner, Section 151 officer, with an option to exercise the extension of the contract for a further 2 years to be brought back to Cabinet for approval.
Are we agreed?
Almost there. 2.29. A single specialist contractor to deliver communal door entry systems for a period of 3 years with an option to extend for a further 2 years, subject to performance and the Council's financial position. The option to exercise the extension of the contract for a further 2 years will be brought back to Cabinet for approval.
Are we agreed?
And last but not least, 2.210, if 2.29 is agreed, delegated authority to be awarded of contract for the delivery of communal door entry systems for a period of 3 years with an option to extend for a further 2 years, subject to the Executive Director of Place, in consultation with the leader, portfolio holder, commissioner and Section 151 officer. The option to exercise the extension of the contract for a further 2 years will also be brought back to Cabinet for approval.
Is the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
Councillor Hooper, thank you. Moving on, item 17, Stanford Hope Station options, and I'll invite Councillor Watson to introduce her report.
Thank you, Leader. I'm really pleased to present this report on the revised delivery strategy for Stanford Hope Station redevelopment. It's a critical project that has long been waited by the residents of Stanford Hope, and it's actually a legacy project we have had to inherit. As members will be aware, this project has faced a series of delays and setbacks since it began in 2017. In Q2 of this year, the scheme was formally placed on hold so that a gateway review could be carried out. At that point, the cost to complete the project was estimated at £21.91 million, bringing the total budget to £36 million, with £17.6 million of that requiring directly from council investment. That level of spend was not sustainable and could not carry on. Rather than walk away, this administration chose to act. We engaged directly with C2C and Network Rail and set out to re-evaluate the delivery strategy with 3 core objectives in mind. First, to deliver a station that meets operational requirements. Second, to optimise delivery, to minimise costs and accelerate progress. And third, to ensure that Thurrock Council and our residents receive the best value. I want to be really clear. The administration is not afraid to make these tough decisions, and we are determined to get this project over the line. A fixed budget of 10 million, and it is 10 million, will be set for the main project delivery. An additional 2 million is reserved for contingency, national rail fees and council staff costs. This is a major shift from the previous unafforded model and shows our commitment to the financial management of this project. Funding will come from 11 million in council capital investment in 25-26, along with 1 million in Freeport seed funding. This report asks Cabinet to approve the revised delivery strategy and authorises the necessary contractual agreements to move forward. After years of frustration and delay, we now have a strategy that is realistic and affordable and deliverable. This administration will not let the people down of Stanford La Hope any longer, and we're going to move this forward and build a station. Also, the residents will have an opportunity to see the plans once they come through in phase 1 of the design. Thank you.
Councillor Watson, thank you. I'll open for questions or comments. No. Councillor Hooper.
First of all, I really welcome this. I think it really does show this administration is trying to put things right. And I'm grateful for the work that Councillor Watson's put into this. As someone who uses Stanford Hope Station, I'm sort of declaring an interest, I guess. I'm really looking forward to seeing the plans and what that's going to look like in the future. I do have one question. It's a question put to me by a disabled person, in actual fact, today, who's also pleased about the refurbishment of the station, but wondered if there'll be a lift there because he's a wheelchair user and actually finds it quite difficult to cross the tracks to get from one platform to another. So is there any potential for a lift as part of these plans?
Councillor Watson?
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hooper. The station will be built in line of what National Rail and C2C want as a standard. It will be more modern than what it was previously because of obviously you can't rebuild a 1930s station. In terms of the disability access, that is also being worked with National Rail, and currently they are saying that it's okay as it's standing with the specification that is going forward, but there's no reason why we can't pick up another conversation with that at a later point.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? No. I too welcome this. Yeah. This has been, you know, an absolute disaster. It's been an embarrassment for this authority for too long, and it's been just not. It's not been good enough for the people of Stanford Hope and Corringham that use that railway station. So I'm glad to see that we're putting it right. Can I just reinforce Councillor Hooper's question about the lift? I think it is important that we consider proper disability access. We know here in Grays we often see wheelchair users just stuck on the level crossing, which is one of the reasons that there's a lift being put in now. So if we can just really ram that home in conversations with Network Rail C2C. And I'll just make the observation that we're told that this building cost £11 million from start to finish. We know that there have been £14 million at least already invested in Stanford Hope Railway Station. Another 10 million to go. That seems somehow unlikely that both those figures can be correct. Councillor Watson, I will invite you to move the recommendations.
Thank you. Point taken, Leader, completely. Recommendations. For the reasons set out in this report, the Cabinet has recommended 2.1, agree the key changes to the scheme identified within the value engineering process and the revised delivery strategy as set out in paragraph 4.8 of this report.
Are we agreed? Agreed. Thank you.
2.2. Authorise the Executive Director of Place to enter into all contractual agreements to deliver the scheme. Decisions will be made in consultation with the Section 151 officer and portfolio holder of good growth.
Are we agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. We move on to item 18 and would ask to note that this report is exempt. So can I remind members and officers not to discuss the contents of the report in public, and I would ask Cabinet members to vote if they agree to go into an exempt session to consider this report. Can I ask for agreement?
Yep,
Are we all in favour? Thank you. In which case, Rhiannon, if we can stop the recording.